being one of 10 kids, I learned to, my mom would only make 9 meals, so one person didn't get to eat. So,
all right, team, welcome back to the show. We got not only repeat, I would say one of the team favorites here, TJ Brogan, back on the show, brother. Good to have you on, man.
I feel like I should be on salary at this point.
Well,
is that where you're going with this? That's where I'm going with
you cut me off, so I was like, nothing is a contract yet.
Is this an offer letter on the ground?
Yeah, we're going to get ready to sign this. We'll talk numbers. Let's hope to see what you like there, man. Let me just say this. For those of y'all who haven't had any experience with TJ, I'll say a couple things. One, tune into one of our early on episodes. If you go to the YouTube, you'll see just like he's given us just really great behind the scenes, from Zeds to car wash and a lot of great businesses he's started, owned, co-owned, operated, all the things in between. TJ's just got not only a unique and I think soulful way of running these businesses, but what we were catching up before this is that he's also just has this, wants to help anybody and everybody on this path because it's hard, but it's worthy, and he's just a all around good person, man. So, man, really appreciate you coming in and diving into more raw stuff, but really just always appreciate you being somebody who's been a supporter of what we do.
Thanks. Those are kind words. Appreciate it.
Well, man, with
fun
that,
to be here.
Yeah. All right, so here's where I want to kick off. We always do like an owner question from the audience.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be a little bit selfish today. I have one that's been burning me up, man. So I thought you'd have good perspective on it. I'll set a little context and then I'll ask you the question. I've been more and more, which we feel blessed, man, that, asking folks to come out and speak to their people or their group, or I'll go attend some of these events. And for a lot of folks who don't know, 5 years ago, maybe even 7, it wasn't even popular. And now it's very, like, small business buying and owning and stuff has become quite the I hate calling it a trend, but it's like quite the wave right now. And I go to these events, and unfortunately, the rhetoric is a lot around the deal process, the financials, the talking about the ones and zeros of it, which is important. Like you need to understand that. But I would say, like, over the course of a 3-day event, like 92% of the event will be talking about deal terms and, raising capital and money and all these things. And you might get lucky if there's just a small segment and probably some huddle room nobody even knows about like the real life, what it means to be an owner and the day in and day out of it, the thing that you're actually going to do for like decades. You're going to spend all this time talking about the first 6 months, and then the rest of the time is almost ignored. My question to you is, what is the thing about owning a business, now that you've done it many times and you continue to do it, what is the thing that you feel like most folks completely miss the boat on from like an importance perspective on keeping that business successful?
Yeah, it's a good question. My head goes a couple different places with this, but there was a business that we helped in the beginning when I ran the car wash. I would go pick up their cars. I was just doing anything I could to like bring an extra $100, $200 into the register every day. And they were right down the road from us, and they had company values, but they had a huge flag with one of their company values that said like, you can't teach give a damn. And I always thought that was like interesting. And so I asked the owner about it. And he's like, that's our number one thing that we think about when hiring somebody, and then moving them up inside the company is like that give a damn. And I think one of the hard things about give a damn is when you're working for somebody else, it's pretty tough to get that out of someone, I think. Like, you're really going to follow that core leader. And if that core leader is showing that and living that, I think you can kind of get that out of your employees. But a lot of times when you're buying a business, you don't really know that about yourself yet. And it's like, and especially for you guys who are partnering with someone, you don't know if that person's going to be someone that exudes that trait. And so I think you really, really, really got to find someone, and you got to be the person that just really cares. When you drive home after a long shift and you can't remember if you locked the front door or not, are you the guy that's going to drive back through traffic to go just double check and make sure that it's locked? Are you the guy that, like, when a customer comes in and clearly there's something already wrong with their car, and they say you need to fix it? Are you the person that says, piss off, go figure it out? I can show you the cameras. We didn't do that here. Or are you going to be the person that, like, walks them through with the cameras, shows them what happened, and really tries to solve the problem? Like, not just say, get out of here, but also say, hey, my buddy down the street owns a body shop. Let's get him on the phone. He can come take a quick peek. And that's a customer for life now. And you got to do that day in and day out. It's like, if you do that enough, it's easier in the moment to just, run that customer off. But if you do that enough, I mean, you're slowly just going to build some momentum behind any type of business. And so, yeah, I think that's one of the biggest traits and things is, like, there's guys that are way smarter than me. I would say, at least in my early years, there weren't any guys that were going to out-hustle me.
Hey, y'all, quick break. Here at American Operator, we believe that small business is the backbone of this country. But more and more, Main Street's getting swallowed up by big corporations, Wall Street, or some of them are just shutting down. And if you've ever thought about building something of your own, or just being a part of saving the American dream, head on over to AmericanOperator.com. It's your one-stop shop for inspiration, stories, and you'll get to join this really great community of patriots that believe our country is still worth fighting for. All right, back to the show.
Is that a learned thing? I think that's really cool. Employees being able to see their leader and kind of be that soul every day makes a ton of sense. I do think it's something folks miss. But TJ himself, where did he learn that from?
I mean, it probably goes back to something from the childhood. I had an older brother that would always take me along in different business ventures or things that he would want to do, whether it be a caddy at 13 years old, starting the lemonade stand at a young age, being one of 10 kids. I learned to, my mom would only make 9 meals, so one person didn't get to eat. So, no, that's not true. She'd make 10 delicious meals. No, but
that's the best.
That's not true. She'd make 10 delicious meals.
TJ goes in, guess who always ate?
This guy. Yeah, I think it's learned at a young age. I think it can be developed in people. And I think you can also learn it about yourself pretty quickly. When you work for a big company, you can kind of fall into your niche inside the company. But once there's no one else to ask the questions to and everything falls onto your plate, everything rolls up to you. How are you going to respond? And I mean, from hiring hundreds of different people, having business partners, working with a lot of different folks across different levels, you can figure it out pretty quick from people.
Yeah, that's the stuff that I find it fascinating. I find it actually the most interesting thing about ownership, but I don't find it to be something that is talked about a lot. Why do you think that is, man? You've been in the space long enough now. How long ownership for you? I mean, you've done it for...
I think I bought the car wash in 2018.
Yeah.
2017.
So, you're going on the better part of a decade, like being an owner. And, for folks who don't know, car wash, Zed's. If you don't know Austin, you don't know Zed's, you don't know Austin. Killer ice cream place, New Zealand style ice cream. And then you got this new venture. Can we talk about that real quick?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, golf simulators. Not only an entrepreneur, but just somebody who's just got the grit to want to go do the work. Oh, and then a collection of other food businesses, right? That you have with family.
I wouldn't do restaurant businesses, but now I have
now you're in it.
Ice cream and some food trucks, and trying to grow those as well. So it's been fun.
So you've gotten enough exposure to all that stuff. Why do you think it is in the last chunk of time, let's say 5 years or so, it's just become? Why is that the focus? Why do you think that the deal stuff and all the ones and zeros seems to be what anybody only seems to talk about, and the other stuff just doesn't make the headlines?
Yeah, talking about give a damn and talking about heart. First off, it's not really like, you can't track that. There's not a metric you can kind of put behind that. Most people, when they ask how's it going, you start talking about the finances pretty quickly, because that's what we want to talk about it. You and I you asked about the golf sim and I jumped straight to the finances. I'm eating up my own words. And so I think it's just not that sexy to talk about the day in, day out, the hustle, the grind, how hard it is. I mean, I think in your inner circles, that's things that you talk about, but when you go to a convention, those aren't the first conversations people want to have with you. They want to talk about how their new business is the sexiest thing and you should be a franchisee and run it.
I guess it's human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're
But
right.
then you come on to the podcast, and we're going to talk about what you can't say at the bar because you don't want anybody to think you're not making. Well, because if you really start talking about all the ins and outs of it, people probably like put their arm around you, go like, "Man, you all right?
Yeah.
You need to talk to somebody."
Dude, I don't want to talk numbers. I just need a shoulder to cry on, brother. Stuff's hard.
Yeah, man, it is hard. If it is so hard, what would you tell folks who are maybe considering this path, or why it is that you continue to do it?
Yeah, I mean, I think in the easy, there's no growth in life. In the hard, you look back and you're like, gosh, that molded and shaped me in so many great ways that I wasn't prepared for. I think a lot of times too, this might be a little bit of a turnoff, but I think if you know the work that it's going to take to make something happen, especially running and owning a small business, a lot of times you'd say no. But when you look back on it, you're like, dude, that shaped and grew me in so many different ways. I'm a better husband. I'm a better father. I'm more in tune with so many different things with my kids. That I'd say it's like the most beautiful thing I could have done career-wise. I mean, I'm sure it's true for you being a military guy. It's like, if you knew what you were going to see and do being in the military, I mean, you're a little crazy. Maybe you would have still signed up for it. But I'm like, I don't know if you would say yes to all that and being away from family. But maybe it's just being a little naive is a beautiful thing that got you into it and then took you to a different place.
Yeah, I think that's wise, which goes back to the thinking about it too much. It's kind of the guys who I find, like guys and gals who do it, think enough about it, but not, maybe that's a good place to go, which is like when TJ is, I don't know when you're doing it. Maybe you're just driving around the tundra and you're just thinking about it, or you're, maybe at home winding down for the evening. You seem to me to be the kind of guy who thinks about, like, who kind of can take in and process through your gut what's going on and what's not going on.
Yeah.
But you also don't seem to be so analytical that you don't do something. I see you moving around town way more and doing stuff than like thinking about a thing. I have conversations with guys and gals that, like, I mean, I'll be in my 5th combo with them and they're still thinking about doing the thing, or thinking about doing the thinking about to go do the thing.
Yeah.
And so how do you balance that? Like, maybe let folks into your world a little bit as an owner, as a multi-business owner. Like, what's that ritual look like? And then how are you doing it? How are you putting it into action?
Yeah. I think there's a couple things. I run into those people a lot who are people that want to run a small business, and maybe they share it because I have some experience under my belt. But when I hear it for like the 4th time over a year of seeing them, it's like, okay, either let's figure out a way for you to do this and I can help you, or let's just start focusing on your tech sales job because this whole
This ain't
idea.
for you.
Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
how long are we going to talk about this? For me, the first one was like having someone that's done it before in your corner is so valuable, which is why I think what y'all are doing is extremely valuable. I probably wouldn't have jumped if I didn't have the mentor that believed in me and said that I could do it. And so my first encouragement, if you want to buy or run a small business, is just get around people that have done it before. I specifically asked this guy named Robert to like mentor me and help me get across the finish line of owning a business, and he took some equity in the first business that I bought. But just having a voice of reason in your corner, because it's true, you live in your head a ton, and it's like you got the angel and the devil on two sides, and you go back and forth. And I think that's where, for me, you're right. I don't live in the analytics for long. I put everything down on a spreadsheet. I have hundreds of business that I've built out models for, but it's very back of the napkin type spreadsheet. And then I just kind of float to the heart of the decision. So move from the head down to the heart. And it's like, what does saying yes to this look like time-wise, financially? What is this going to mean no-wise? Like if I say yes to this, is it, what's the impact on my family? What's the impact on my friends? And then where I live the most is just gut. And it's like, at the end of the day, if the gut's telling me and it's already gone through the head and the heart, is the gut like, hey, we can make this thing work. Let's send it.
What's something that you felt like you made a really strong gut decision on, but maybe other people were, who were in the head still going, nah, don't, and it still worked out?
Yeah.
You have something that comes to mind?
I mean, the first one was probably the most gutty, where there was a lot of people around me that thought I was insane. And I'd also say the first one's always the scariest too, when you've never done it before and there's so much to learn. So yeah, the first one for sure, where the upside wasn't massive in running a small little car wash. The employee base was horrendous, to say the least. I'm quitting my job where I could walk up and have a barista make me a latte for free at any point and sit on my Apple computer with my AirPods in, listen to my favorite tunes, to then working with quasi-homeless people, dealing with customers who had been abusing the wash for a while and trying to change the culture, both customer base and employee base. And so, I mean, there was a lot of things in my head and heart that were like, no, but ultimately my gut was like, dude, just jump. Even if this one doesn't work out, you'll figure it out on the next one. And it was a low risk deal. So that gut let me into that first one for sure.
It probably transformed TJ too, right? Like it probably made you to a version of yourself that I'm going to imagine you like even more than maybe where you came from, but you probably didn't even know that it existed until you tried that.
Yeah, for sure. I think I had worked kind of my whole life doing odds and ends jobs, but never like I did when I first bought that car wash. But I think back to the original question is like, I had a mindset that there was nothing that was going to allow this thing to fail. Like, I will make this thing go no matter what it takes. And if that means cutting labor and I'm greeting customers, helping wash cars, helping finish cars, ringing the customer up and sending them on their way, like I was going to do it. And so it was that gut in the beginning that like got me to sign the line to buy it. But then it was like the grit that really kept alive and kept it going.
Yeah, man. It is hard to teach, man. You're talking about the military. You got me thinking about like we used to have this saying in the service. Anytime you do like tryouts or even just things that are just kind of the next level, the phrase you'll hear go around is, we're not looking for the best guy, we're looking for the right guy. And which is a kind of a weird thing, because you think about like everything is like, how fast are you? How strong are you? How good do you shoot? All these things have like objective metrics. But then there's still this like subjectivity that is wrapped around all of that, because oftentimes at the finish line and on the final roster, you'll go, that guy wasn't the fastest, or like, what happened there? Maybe it's like a complete package thing. It's like, but I think more than anything else, there are these moments that as I reflect back and now have buddies that kind of are in spots where they are doing the assessments and things, it's interesting to get their feedback about how they measure character, and that it isn't some kind of like thing that you just throw around in some philosophy class in college or high school or whatever. It's like their whole thing is they're measuring a person's ability to almost like relentlessly pursue something. And in a way it creates these things that didn't exist before.
Yeah.
These folks are like quite literally moving the world around them in order to then create value, whatever that might be, a way to win and stuff. I had an old boss of mine, old commander, used to say like, anytime the boys, he says, anytime, because he'd be in like this master, command center with all these radios and what's going on. And anytime something was going off, he just would ask like, what's the call sign of the officer or the commander or the guy on the ground? What's the call sign? And he goes, as soon as they tell him what the call sign was, it would put a face in his head, and he'd go, they'd be all right. Just depending on who it was. Because he's like, they'll figure it out.
That's awesome.
We give them some time to go figure it out. Going back to TJ here, I'm curious, like, what is the question in my mind is like, as we're trying to find like more and more folks, 'cause I think it's such a worthy path. It's hard. More and more folks to step into this role of ownership and run these great community staples in their town and in their things. Should we be looking for the folks who just already have that right stuff? Or can we do a better job, you think, creating the right stuff or getting them to kind of cultivate that? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think an interesting take on this. I think your gut instinct in this is how do we make it as once they're into the top line funnel, how do we make it as frictionless as possible to get them into ownership? And I think most businesses operate this way, where you want to eliminate friction so you can, speed up operations, speed up onboarding. You're trying to move faster. I think I would intentionally find ways to add friction and then use that friction and see how these candidates respond. And it's maybe, I'm trying to think of an example. Okay, here's a really simple example. I saw someone say they wanted an apartment one time that was an employee. They kind of just threw it out there. And I was like, okay, how can I help you get an apartment? And they didn't really say anything. And I was like, all right, I'll just go figure this out for them. And so then I went, found a duplex, bought the duplex, realized I had him and a couple of his buddies that wanted to play or needed a place to stay, quasi-homeless employee. I just went and figured it all out for them, and then I put them in the duplex, and it was a disaster because they said they wanted it, but then they didn't really want it. They didn't want to do the steps to go figure it out on their own. And so it's like, I want $1 million. Am I going to go figure out how to make $1 million? And I think that could be true in y'all's situation where you have a business, you have someone says they want it, but then how do you, throughout the process, put some friction in there to see how badly they actually want it? And so I try to find ways to figure that out. Or if it's like, hey, we got to get out there to go see this business and we want you there. Are they going to be like, dude, I can go next week, book me a flight, or I'll book a flight on Monday? Or are they people that are just going to be like, okay, yeah, let me know how you want me to get out there? It's like, no, you want the guy that's like, dude, if that's the next step, let me get there. I'll figure it out. Yeah. If you can come, great. If not, I'm going to go do this on my own. Yeah. And that's that can kind of breed in there. You can start to understand who am I working with, how bad do they want this thing, and I think that'd be super helpful.
No, I think you hit it right on the head. There's stuff that you can't measure or test until you put something up against somebody and then see what they do with it.
Right. Because my mentor, he was like, hey, I told him I want to find a business. I don't care what it is. I just want to run it myself, and it can't be expensive because I have no money and I don't want to take on a bunch of debt for my first deal. And he was like, I own this land at this car wash. I think the guy might want to sell it. And then my immediate response was like, dude, I'm just gonna start hanging out there every weekend. And I would just go every Saturday, Sunday and wash cars, touch cars, meet customers. And it's like, I'm not trying to sing my own praises here, but you want to find people that just want to dive straight in. If they want an opportunity and an opportunity is presented, how do they attack it?
That's right. And they just, is their default go? Do they just have this ability to move towards it? Yeah. And without, the only plan is I'll go figure out what the next thing to do once I get there. Right. No, I think there's a lot of wisdom in that. And I think you're right. I think the more friction we can put in front of it. I'm also wondering, it kind of answers my question, a thought that I think a lot about, which is, are folks, the old question, are leaders made or are they born? Are owners made or are they born? I've always defaulted to maybe it's neither, but it is they are a product of the circumstances in which they put them in, right? Mm-hmm. It's the story they're building is based on the things they elect to say yes to, what they're going to go put themselves into. But in a way, that nature is there. I don't know that I can teach somebody to do that. I have a guy I met the other day, he doing the same thing, probably similar to you, grabbing a coffee and asking about, is this for me or not? And had a guy on the show today, a few weeks ago, Nathan. His take is, if you have to ask me that, then don't do it. Yeah. Yeah, because if you go, should I be an owner? He's like, you're not. Yeah. He goes, and it's just because there's almost a naivety, a stubbornness. You just go I have no choice. Of course I'm going to try it.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
See where it goes. Okay, let's I'm going to shift gears just a little bit and talk about something that probably a little more technical than even typically we get on the show, which is about growing things, you know. So let's take Zed's, for example. Zed's, again, if y'all haven't checked out Zed's, y'all, incredible place. Good spot not only for the family and stuff, but just a really great hang. And if you're in Austin, Texas, I can't think of something more iconically Austin. With Zed's, though, how did you know when to grow? How did you know to add that next location? How did you know that we weren't just getting trigger happy and trying to just show a Roman Empire kind of claim to the city? Because y'all seem to do it well. Those places are always packed up. I mean, maybe behind the scenes you guys are barely making it. I have no idea, man, but I'm assuming they're going well. So I'm just curious, like, what has been the thought process and the rest of, because so many guys and gals get in trouble immediately trying to open that second location, and then it just flops.
Yeah. I think there's a couple things to think about. So one, with Zed's, I have a business partner. I'm the minority owner. My business partner is the majority owner. It's his first rodeo of a business, and he's killing it. He's doing awesome. He's kind of running all the ops for it. But when we first bought it, we were kind of, spitballing, dreaming about what we thought Zed's could be. And we're like, 10 locations in 5 years was thrown out, or it's like 5 locations in 10 years was thrown out. It's like, okay, we don't really know exactly where we want to go. Maybe we could get it to 100. Maybe we could make one work. We don't know. But the first conversation that I had with him was like, we have to make number 1 work. If number 1 doesn't work, we can't talk about 2 unless number 1's working. So start there. Do everything you can to systemize everything that you're doing, make sure the right people are in the right place, and then have that owner be able to step out of the day-to-day. And if it still flows, good enough. I mean, you can have a small drop-off with the owner not there, but if it still runs and is profitable to a level that you want it to be, then you can probably start thinking about number 2 at that point. And so Mac did an awesome job. I mean, pretty quickly he made some monumental changes for the business that dramatically changed what the bottom line was. And we were like, probably 9 to 12 months in, we're like, okay, we can start thinking about number 2. This is great. And then we probably walked 10 to 15 sites, worked with a broker, tried to find, we wanted to make sure number 2 was great. I think when you get 4, 5, 6, you can start getting a little bit more risky, but you want to make sure number 2 is great, or else you just tank everything you built. Yeah. And so we finally found a second location that, is probably, I'd say 16 to 18 months after we started looking. So we were picky. And
what about the location was important? Like, it had to have a vibe, or the concentration of people? What was it?
Yeah, a little bit of both. We talked about this when you came and visited, but it's like that initial feeling when you walk up is really important to Mac and I. And when you see the site, walk on the site, come in to get your ice cream, like, we really want to be able to create a space that people want to be in. We don't want just, at least for these first couple, we didn't want it to just be like end of a strip center that's really dull and boring and not in a neighborhood on a main road. Like, we like the neighborhood feel. And so this one was in a strip center, but it was a very neighborhoody strip center. We could build a huge deck outside. It was cute, quaint, and we're like, okay, we think this is gonna be a great fit. And so there was a lot of like running some of the head, some of the heart behind it, but then ultimately it's like, it's gut. And I think Mac and I work well because I'm always pushing, like, let's keep hammering more locations, and he's like a little bit more reserved. This is his baby. He doesn't want to see it, overextend on the debt side of things and then get us into a bad spot. So there's a good push-pull there.
Yeah.
But we've been really happy with number 2. So I'm pumped that we did it.
They're all great. What do you got now? 3, 4?
Yeah, we got 3. Yeah, 3, and then we're starting to look around for number 4.
Number 4?
Yeah.
Talk about y'all's dynamic a little more. I think that's always interesting to see, because you have kind of maybe 2 schools of thought. Single owner, make all the calls there.
Yeah.
I know for you probably are the definition of like a team guy, kind of leveraging the best of all this, the sum is greater, together. What is that dynamic like? And when would you suggest to people that go with a partner versus not?
Yeah. Partners are great and partners are hard. I think it's a beautiful thing, and it makes things harder. It forces you to have to communicate. It forces you to have to run ideas by the other person. A lot of times I can just like shoot from the hip and run with the gut too much. And so slowing down, having to have scheduled conversations, having to be friends through it all. It poses a lot of challenges. I think when there's some skill sets that align as far as what one person's good at versus the other one, I think that can be a beautiful thing. I think also scale kind of matters. If you're trying to start selling leather wallets and you think you're going to do $100,000 a year in revenue and there's $20,000 in profit to be had, like I wouldn't get a partner because then you're just making 10. Tough to feed yourself on 10. Maybe for the side business, that's fine. So scale really does matter. I think this one was great because I wasn't going to take a salary. Matt could come in, kind of run the operations for the first store, take a salary to kind of keep him alive. And hopefully there'd be some profit sharing at the end of it as well. And so this one's very much like his baby, his thing. And I'm just kind of here to assist and help grow. And so we're not 50-50. So it's a little bit different dynamic there as well. But I think ultimately trust. Do you trust the person? Does the idea sound and feel, and do you think it's going to work? And then ultimately, is it someone that you want to be around a lot?
Yeah.
I think that's the big thing. It's like, you're going to spend way more time than you think with this person. And you're going to be integrated in more ways than you realize. And is this the person you want to do it with?
You shared with me one time, you said you would never place the friendship over the partnership. Or excuse me, the opposite. You would never go like, hey, the business is more important than the friendship. And in a way, when you said that, I think that's the reason it works.
Yeah.
And I think, but it's kind of a hard thing to do because I think, especially in our society, like, the business capitalistic like thing that goes in there, like always feels like that's the great rule meter. I had someone very recently make an argument to me about like how by the letter of the law, this was the right way to do the business. And I thought to myself, yeah, man, but good luck being able to like continue working together with that decision,
Yeah, that'll be tough.
I mean, is that kind of, you still keep that? I mean, that's a policy it's got to keep, right?
Yeah, it's got to keep. And for me, it's so much easier sleeping at night and operating through life holding it loosely. I think the bigger it gets and the more complex it gets, I think it'd be easier to want to hold things a little bit tighter. But I kind of come into these things with partners just being like, if you're going to screw me, you're going to screw me. I'm going to be okay. If at the end of the day, you want to force me out, send over something that you think's fair, I'll hold it pretty loose. And that's just the way I want to operate life. I'd rather be trusting and occasionally get burned than distrust and always be worried about getting screwed. And constantly just trying to peek behind the curtain for every little thing that's happening. So I can't tell you the last time I've checked the credit card for Zeds. My business partner could be just loading that sucker with personal expenses.
Taking like a private jet to different places.
He might be PJing around. He's a
know.
Texas Tech guy. He might be in Lubbock every weekend.
Just hanging out and watching who are some of the artists up there, man. There's some good singers coming out of that school. Is that like did someone teach you that? Like to hold it loosely like that and be okay and not be so like looking over your shoulder all the time? I mean, where's that come from?
Oh man, that's a good question.
Is it a family vibe?
Yeah, I think it was kind of modeled to me. My dad was that way. He was quick to give and quick to forgive. And if you ever burned him, he'd move on quick, but he wouldn't. I mean, you can't rebuild trust quickly. So if trust's broken, then there's consequences to that. But also, it doesn't mean you need to linger on that. So it's probably my dad that taught me most of that.
Sounds like a good dad, man. Yeah, I think that stuff is, you can spend a lot of your life just holding on to bitterness.
Yeah.
And then it prevents you from doing the other things that are just as great. How, for folks who, again, probably don't know TJ that well, when you think about where you're great at in the timing of a business too, right? Like I see that you have, I mean, you kind of got like the full spectrum, of all the business you have are like different lives. Do you find one part, like the early days or the later days being where your sweet spot is?
Yeah, I think it's early days.
Early days.
I love the early days.
Yeah.
Those are the fun ones. It's
Why is that?
I think I can bring some like belief to an idea. And so getting across the finish line is like super fun to me. And then those early decisions that are being made, little problems that are being solved. I'm not great as I can take a business and see some of the bottlenecks and start to work through them. But when you start like really trying to fine tune processes and operations, I'm just not great at that. I can see things, but I don't want to spend my time working on the minutia of how do we save 30 seconds when cleaning rims of a car. It's like, I could think of some ideas, but I don't want to go sit there and tick off every time he cleans the rim and how long it took and see how we can, like, that's just not me. But getting those like early stage problems solved, getting it across the finish line, trying to grow a customer base, trying to create a vibe, I think I'm really good at. And after doing it a handful of times now, you kind of get your Rolodex of like, who's my marketing guy? Who's my bookkeeper? Who's my designer? There's a lot of those early decisions that I've done it enough that it's been, my same go-to people every single time who I've kind of got a small little team around me that's pretty helpful.
Yeah, you kind of can put that playbook to use a little bit more and more and more. Is there a time where you decide that you don't want to keep doing this? Not like, and be more specific. Do you find that you want to keep doing this, with new businesses over and over, or will there be a time you feel like you have enough of a spread and you're just going to then kind of just mature those as they sit?
I think it's it's so fun for me. What I'd like to at one point transition from the guy doing it to helping people do it more often, and I've kind of done that a handful of times already. But the most recent one, like, I'm the guy doing it, and so. This past year, after kind of being the main guy running and operating the car washes, I realized they weren't businesses that I could scale, and my time would be better spent elsewhere. And so I had a guy who had worked for me, and I kind of promoted him to an owner and sold him half the business. And so now he's operating that. And that's like so fun for me, to put people in positions of power where they can grow and take control of what their career looks like. And so this new one, I just started the golf simulator business. I'm the guy on that one. Maybe we try to grow that to 2 or 3 locations, and then I find another operator to come in and kind of take the reins and take some ownership. Because I think I like those 1, 2, 3 location businesses. I'm not the best at, I don't think I'm the best at operating the 50 location, sit at a desk from far away. I like to be on site.
Yeah. Build it, get somebody in there, groom them up, and then where did that idea for the golf sim business come from?
They're kind of popular right now. They're kind of popping off.
Yeah.
It's a popular concept. Being from Michigan, they were popular 15 years ago.
Because you can't go play in the wintertime.
Yeah, you can't go play in the wintertime, exactly.
Yeah.
And so and they've started migrating south. I had the idea this past summer after selling the wash, I looked at probably 10 to 12 different businesses and tried to chase them down, and golf sim was one of them. Pet cremation was another.
Was it really? Why did
everything from golf sims to pet cremation?
Why did the pet thing not make the cut?
Part of the heart of like day to day. I'm down to do pretty much anything. Picking up dead dogs daily in a van just didn't fully scratch the itch.
Break your soul after a while.
Yeah. I mean, and I also thought for a variety of reasons it wasn't something that I could grow and scale.
Yeah.
But golf sims are popular, and the model's kind of interesting where there's no employees, all remote access. That interests me. And then I also I've been to a lot of sims, and I've never been like that inspired by like the look and feel. And I thought we could just do it better. Most places look like you and I got together, had 3 or 4 beers, looked around a room. It's like we put some green on that wall and black on the walls, and maybe we put some turf down and pick a warehouse. We can make that happen. And I really wanted to go kind of like Butler pitch and putt mixed with cocktail lounge. Mm-hmm. And so it's like moody and cool colors and a lot of vintage look, kind of cigar lounge almost, with some fun retro vibes in there. And I think I just could create a space that people wanted to be in more than other sims. And so even though there's more popping up, I'm pretty confident we can keep our sims full.
Yeah. Yeah. The vibe of a place, I think, is something that often is not factored in the equation. But it does matter, especially if you have options. Yeah. If you have options as a customer, well, where do you want to go, right? How does it make you feel? Walk folks through, whether it's the sim biz or any biz that you have, like if you were brand new aspiring owner Brogan, you're sitting here, you're exploring what to do. And let's just, I kind of want to just like give folks kind of a path on like how you would think about getting into something and what are the things you would do.
Yeah.
Right. So you pick the business. It can even be one you don't own right now. What is your process for going through it? I think because what I enjoy talking to you about is, what I don't want it to be missed with our listeners is because I know you and like I can understand, my brain ticks this way too. What I don't want to do is take for granted like kind of the steps you go through in your brain to go explore, commit, study, whatever those things are, and then go do the thing. Can you walk folks through an example of like how you went about it?
Yeah. So I think it starts with like every business that I go into. I think about if I were to buy this, what I would change and how I'd make it better. And it's a great exercise to do anywhere you go. I mean, walk into McDonald's, walk into a fancy restaurant, walk into HEB. Like, what would you do? How would you make it better? If it's something that you think you could do a lot better than what's being executed on, but yet this place has a line, or it seems busy, or they seem profitable. Okay, there's a ticker that this could be interesting. And then I'll just use the golf sim because I just did it. So then I kind of went back into my spreadsheets and just super basic, simple. What do I think revenues could be? How would they grow over the first 12 to 36 months? Started to try to make sense of the numbers and then tried to verify those numbers. So the beautiful thing about franchises is, one, they want operators, they want franchisees. And so I just then had phone calls with 4 franchisors, and they'll tell you everything about the business and all the numbers. It's like
you driving around with the car washes. You did the same thing. How much y'all charge? Okay.
Yeah. What do you charge? What do you do?
Wash my car 12 times.
It's interesting how much free information's out there.
Yeah.
And so I did demos with 4 franchise companies, and I started to pick and choose things that I liked about what one did and what I didn't like about what other ones did. And so okay, that's more data I can use to incorporate into my business plan. Then I started looking for locations, and I'm like, okay, if we want to do this the way I want to do it, the location needs to be right. And so I probably walked 4 or 5 different locations, felt like I had a pretty good one, and then started to figure out the finances. If you've never raised money before, I'd say figure out the finances before you start looking at locations. Then figured out the finances, and then started to put the team to work, designing it, logos, talking to as many people in the space as I possibly could. I saw my brother's buddy from high school worked at a simulator in Nebraska. I was like, dude, can I get on the phone with you for 30 minutes, just ask you questions? And just really try to use the network. Anyone that knew anything about golf and simulators, I was asking them questions. And I think you can just educate yourself so much for free before you jump in, that you put yourself in a pretty good position to know, this might have a chance at working or not.
Do you hold it loosely? Like, is there some data that you would get in that would allow you to break out with the idea and not feel too bad about it? Or do you find that you always kind of have to combat that? Like, you're so in love with the idea that it's hard sometimes to not just find things to only support what you're doing.
Yeah, that's for sure true. I think you can kind of get tunnel vision sometimes. So having some people that you really trust in your corner is really helpful. But ultimately, like, I just go back to the gut, and it's like, say no to something 3 times, and then if you still think you should do it, keep coming back to it, then it's like, okay, I probably should just, at least for my own sanity, take a shot at this thing.
Yeah. What do you think that is? What it is, like, I do like that. Three times, and then if it's still in the brain,
yeah,
then you're like, or it's still somewhere in your gut, like you got to still do something about it. What do you think that is? Why do you think the gut has a different way of making calculations? I know I'm probably getting into like medical things now, but I'm just curious, like, just from your experience, why is it a thing that you continue to trust?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think I've made enough decisions in my life that that led me down paths that were not good for me. And I think you're always kind of fine tuning your gut through life experiences. But I kind of go back to the whole thing of, if I say no to this idea 3 times, but I still keep coming back to it, basically you're just telling yourself, hey, don't do this thing. But if you still really, really want to do it, you probably should just take a chance and do it. And so I go back to that often, and I think yeah. Am I thinking about this as I go to bed at night? Am I waking up thinking about this as well? And I'm like, dude, my gut's telling me I gotta go for this thing. And even if it doesn't work out, I've had a handful that didn't work out, but it's like, I trained my gut a little bit more there, and hopefully I get it right on the next one.
Have you ever been wrong with that?
Oh yeah, tons of time.
So why do you keep trusting it then?
I think I think Bezos said it. There's like one-way doors and two-way doors.
Mm-hmm.
And one-way meaning if you walk through that door, there's no way to walk back. And two-way doors is like, hey, if we want to spend $100 million on this new tech and it doesn't work out, it's fine. We can walk right back through and go to the old tech. And so I think I make a lot of two-way doors decisions. I'm a little risk averse where I don't make a lot of decisions that are one-way doors where it's like catastrophic if it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
And so I've made enough. We tried to do mobile car washing. We tried to do mobile pressure washing. I've tried a lot of things at Zed's that like haven't worked out. And so, yeah, you keep learning and try to make as many of those gut decisions with two-way doors as you can. So you can always walk back. I wouldn't say drain every last dollar that you have and load up a credit card and buy a business, because that could put you in a pretty bad spot. But like, you can take some risk and try to go buy something. And if it doesn't work out, you can always go back to your sales tech job if you want.
It's I think when folks probably see you doing what you do, they think he's just a complete reckless cowboy and he's just kind of doing what he do. But the fact that you're like, no, man, I do have some adverse, I'm adverse to certain things. Like I won't cross that line.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably what it is. I mean, it's probably folks who understand their boundaries and then play really hard between them.
Uh-huh.
And I think you see someone like you playing really hard between them and thinking, oh, that guy. I mean, and I think other people get inspired and then they get in trouble.
Yeah.
As opposed to going, no, hold on a second. I've spent some time really knowing what my negotiables and non are. I imagine that probably has to do with also sitting around the dinner table and talking to your wife about like what's acceptable and what's not.
Yeah,
too,
that's
right?
definitely true. Yeah, it's
What does
definitely
she
true.
say about all this? Like working through and like you starting your next thing. What's the conversation around that like at home?
I think she thinks I'm a little crazy. She does think I'm a little crazy for sure. But she trusts me. She knows that, I mean, dude, I'm someone if we were in a pinch, I would go drive Uber if we needed to make sure there's food on the table. Like I'm not afraid to do any job ever to make sure the family's provided for. So if I'm taking a bunch of our savings and putting it into a new business, she trusts me enough that even if it doesn't work out, that I'll figure it out.
It'll be back. I mean, you'll be able to kind of replenish what you need and keep it going.
Yeah, keep it going.
Yeah.
I do think though, one thing I've learned over the last, I'd say 2.5 years is just getting comfortable with my bank account looking smaller than it did before. I think we always think about wanting to have this growth mindset of like continuing to stack and continuing to see larger of everything in all of our accounts. And it's something that like when you buy a business, a lot of times you put money into it, you take less, and you sit in this place where like, oh dude, I had $100 in my account. Now I have $50 in my account, and I used to make $75 a year, and now I'm making $30 a year. And it's like, dude, I think that's one of the biggest reasons people don't jump. And it's like, oh, you kind of got to make pennies for a little while before you can make quarters, and you're used to making nickels and dimes. And now it's like, okay, I got to drop down to pennies. And when you're 25, or I'd say 30, 40 years old and you got a family, like that's scary. I get it. It's an intense time to take on that type of risk, but the rewards and the things that you learn along the way, I think are just so beautiful. Obviously there's freedom that comes with it as well. If things go well, hopefully there's larger bank accounts if things go well. And anytime I've gotten money in the last couple of years, which hasn't been anything substantial, I just drain it all and buy another business or open another location. So it's like, oh, that looks good. Let's send it on another one. Down it goes.
Yeah.
Lever up some debt. And it's something that I lost sleep over and I was very anxious about for, a year or two. And now I've just gotten comfortable with being like, okay, we're going to make it work. Even if this thing goes low, we'll be fine.
What is the thing about it that gives you peace on it now? Is it because you don't have to, let me say it a different way. When you think about that money coming down,
Yeah.
it's not going down because you're buying like a Lambo. It's like it's going down because you're investing it in another thing that's theoretically going to produce more of those things that you had just go down, cash. What is that? What is that level of comfort or peace you have with it now? Is it knowing that, like, because you've done it so many times before that you'll see it come back? It'll just be a little while. What is that?
Yeah. I mean, there's like this idea of just like delayed gratification and just learning to be comfortable with the delayed gratification. Even sometimes the delay is longer than you want it to be. And so just, I don't know if it's time that I've like sat in that for a while. Maybe my faith that like, I believe God's going to take care of me and provide for me at all stages. That plays a huge part in it for me. And just surrounding yourself with people that you can share that stuff with. I think it's pretty tough if you're living in that by yourself, but having some close friends that you can kick it around. I mean, I kicked it around with the other day. I was talking about how I was like nervous about a few things, and I had a buddy that was just like, dude, we're here with you in it. Also, if you need some money for a little bit. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, it's 3% interest rate.
Give me a good deal, man. Yeah, no, but it's the truth.
No, just having like people close to you, dude. Like you got to be able to share and talk about it because it's a grind. So don't do it alone. You got to put good people in your corner.
Here's an interesting thought. I didn't think about it in this kind of way until you just said it. Because my wife was doing something similar to a friend of hers the other day, and she was saying that my wife Kelsey likes helping people. You can tell she's a former military gal because she was like, she likes making people feel better by going down the worst case path first. She goes, all right, let's just do this for a second. Let's go car crash on this whole thing. And she'll like go all the way down. I mean, horrifically down like a path. And she goes, it's probably not going to end up like that.
I love that.
You know, so if it's not going to end up like that, like you're going to be all right.
Yeah.
Because every step of the way, what she's doing is she'll go like, okay, and then you lose your house. You don't have any friends that are going to put you up for a day or two or a year? No, I have some. Okay. And then your mom or dad just buy this big,
yeah.
And she'll do that. She go, oh, okay, so you lose your job or whatever the case might be, and you're not going to have money to pay for food. But you go to like someone's house like every weekend, right, to go eat. And so she'll do this thing where it's like, really, let's actually think about what it is.
Yeah.
But what you just said kind of combos with that. And I wonder, just kind of going down that rabbit hole for a sec, like when you think about you're a relationship guy. I know it, man. That's why I like hanging with you. It's just like the people in your life and who and how you are with them are so important. I don't know if you get, other than maybe the service, like you get that level of raw relationship and friendship with people than like being kind of on the limit. You know, I feel like if you worked a 9 to 5 somewhere, like the amount of times your buddy needs to bail you out is probably pretty minimal.
Yeah.
You know? Whereas this is one of those things where, like, even on a day to day, the something happens at the office, you got to run. Someone else has got to go pick up your kids, because you're not going to because you can't. The business has got to stay alive. Do you feel that the relationships you have because of your business are more rich?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think like relationships grow in the vulnerability. Buying a business, you get pretty dang vulnerable. At least you can choose to mask up and not be vulnerable, but it's like bringing people into the highs and the lows is a beautiful thing. Also learning to not get too high and not get too low is another beautiful thing. But having friends, having friends in your corner that are down to ride with you, it's a good sign when you go to open up a new business. And it's like, I mean, there was tier-worthy stuff for me when even the golf sim, which is my most recent thing. It's like I had multiple buddies sign up to be members who like aren't major golfers. One of them still hasn't even come in. We've been open for 3 weeks. I'm like, and he signed up for the top one. I'm like, dog, you're paying $325 a month. First off, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Look.
No, but like those things are like, oh man, that feels so beautiful and rich. When you go to start a new business and people want to support you and want to be there for you. I think oftentimes we are people who want to give and show love, but we're terrible at receiving it. Opening a business puts yourself in a vulnerable position to receive that. And so, if you open a business, people have the opportunity to support you. You're putting yourself in a position where your friends can choose to support what you're doing, or they can reject that. And so having people, when you are opening a business and having the people support it, it's like, oh, my day ones. It just feels so good. You're
It's
like,
the
dude,
best,
you get it. Like, it's like,
best feeling
oh
in the
man,
world.
you have the option to spend your money in a lot of different places, and you're trying to support me. So
It's the best feeling.
yeah,
in
it's the
world,
best
man.
feeling in the world. Legit tear jerking stuff.
You almost don't even, you almost can't articulate that level of like nutrient rich relationships until you kind of start stepping in it and doing it, you know?
Right, which I think that's what I'm saying is like it's such a beautiful thing to start a business because you put yourself in a super vulnerable position.
It kind of forces that, it
Totally
forces
forces
that.
it.
Where like you probably you'll live in a cave or a cloak for the rest of your life,
Yeah.
you know? And it's just kind of multifaceted. Makes like you got to be the right person to be an owner. You know, when I say right, I'm not saying you're better than. There's so much important work that other people have to do, right? But if you got the stuff, like, you know, consider it. But then also the benefits of it are not just the wealth. It sounds like probably the real wealth, which is the relationships
Yeah,
and the
for
people
sure.
that you come along with.
Yeah, it's totally true. I mean,
Yeah.
even friends that are just like who don't even live in town that are wanting to buy hats feels amazing. It's like, oh, they want to represent me in their hometown. Feels great.
What else can we talk about? What's on your mind?
I don't know.
I never give people this option because
Really?
you're a repeat. You're fan favorite. So this is why I was like, all right, well, you can also. I'm gonna be vulnerable. I'm gonna give you the wheel for a second.
Gosh,
You can turn it into a tree if you want.
Oh, what do I want to talk about?
Especially as we close out. I mean, like this conversation. I mean, I could go all day long asking you questions. Is there anything on your brain that you just? It could be about anything, man.
Oh, I probably just want to say something encouraging about running and operating business. Let me think. What do I want to say? I think I just want to tell people that like it is possible and life is so short. And so you can choose to bat the idea around for forever or surround yourself with people who've done it before and just go get after it. What was it? Ari Gold at a game was like, you can be viciously mediocre or you can wake up and get the F after it. And I'm like, I'm not out here trying to be viciously mediocre. I don't think anyone is.
Yeah.
So go get after it.
What is the first thing you would give them as a recommend if they have that on their heart right now? Like, oh man, I gotta go do something else.
Yeah.
Like this 9 to 5 is killing me. Now there's some people out there, like I've said before, like they'll love a 9 to 5. They do it for the rest of their life. We need you.
Yeah.
But for those that are feeling it, what's the first thing you'd recommend them doing if they just kind of have that pit in the stomach? Like, I got to go do something else.
Yeah, I just changed the mindset about like how you operate your daily life as far as, again, think about everything as a potential opportunity. And like, unless you're like a car guy and really want to go start a body shop, like go down that rabbit hole. But I think most people don't know what they want to do. They just want to do something. And so think about everything as an opportunity and then put people into place or surround yourself with people who can encourage you and maybe have done it before. I think that's a beautiful thing that you can do to start getting down the tracks of owning and operating your own business.
Yeah. There's a humility in that. I know we said we're going to button it up, but I do want to just go on there for half more second because I think you're saying that like you don't. I hope you're saying this and not correct the heck out of me if I'm wrong. But you're kind of saying you don't have to be overly passionate. Like I got to go spend so much discerning my passion.
Yeah.
Because for some of us, the passion ends up being the building the team. You could almost care less about the business.
Yeah.
Not less about the business, but the idea doesn't have to be.
Yeah. What it is
pristine.
that you're doing is.
Yeah, I mean, a guy like you're doing ice cream all the way to car washes and saying like it's all different. I see you, at least from afar, man. I think you're just like classic owner. When I say afar, I'm just like for folks who don't know you well. If they saw you doing your moves around town, that owner vibe is fun. Driving around your pickup, checking on things, seeing how people are doing, participating. You know, we have P. Terry on the show. He does the same thing. It doesn't matter what you're running. It's just like the ability that you're actually in the fabric of your business and your community, and you're able to just be in it and not be like a bystander, but actually a participant.
Yeah.
It's kind of a fun thing. So are you kind of saying, hey, look, maybe don't get so worried about your passion being there, unless you are a car guy or something like that.
Yeah.
But just start making the moves towards an idea that could be an opportunity, even if it isn't something you're like stoked about.
Yeah, for sure. And I do think I would assume most people listening and wanting to buy a business aren't the car guy that like knows they just want to work on cars all day. But I think your passion is small business, and you can do small business in so many different ways. And so just put the hat, like try to put the owner hat on everywhere you go. And again, put the people in a place around you that you trust and that you can ask questions to and vet ideas, and then send it. Go with the gut and just send.
Just go, man.
Press the send.
Just send. Pew, 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 pew. Yeah, man.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you
TJ?
did the same thing here. I mean, like, you're sending it with a sweet business, trying to help operators grow and become owners of businesses. I think that's incredible.
Man, we appreciate it, man. It's a lot of good work and a lot of good people. And if we can just even be, that's why talking to folks like you is so good. Just you end up giving just that one person just that little bit of a, all right, finally go do it. You know, so many folks just on the fence.
Yeah.
Not sure. The part I hope folks take away from this show is that like there is so much, there's actually so much in the world to be afraid of if you want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
But this is one that there are so many good people. I think it's just because the path is so hard and there's so many people who've done it that just want to help you.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised if you ever get in a bind. If you're humble enough to just say, I need some help, there's always a ton of people that are going to run to you because they just know how hard it is. And they're like, oh yeah, absolutely, let me help you out.
Yeah.
But
it's
I think,
interesting when you find that with all these owners. I mean, even some of the guys that you've had on, Patrick Terry's one, he opened up a spot across the street from my car wash. I saw him over there. I went and talked to him and he just gave me 5-10 minutes of his time, asked me a bunch of questions about the car wash. Carter Smith with the Pinks, he's a guy that's on here. I texted him probably 4 or 5 months ago to meet up next week. He met up with me, answered a bunch of my questions. I'm like, operators want to help people. It's a pretty special place once you're in it.
Yeah, man. Some of the best people in the world, man, the owners. They just have a level of commitment, I think, in depth that I think is hard to explain. And if you get to be kind of part of that community, yeah, turn the richness on. It's not easy, but man, life is like you get to live life in full HD.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you get to see the real character of how things are. So, TJ, man, you're the best, brother. I appreciate you coming on, man, and spending some time with us. And for those of you like tuning in, really, this kind of stuff is only possible when you kind of get to share it with others. And I think guys like TJ jumping on the show just make it even more special because we get a continued, we get a champion of each other here. So thanks for coming in, man.
Fun being here. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for tuning in to the American Operator Podcast, where we celebrate the backbone of America, small business owners and operators like you. If you've enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe so you'll never miss out on more of these stories and insights from people who keep our community strong. Until next time, keep building, keep operating, and keep America moving forward.